So thank you everyone for joining our session today. Welcome. I'm your moderator, Dua. And our session today really fits the season. So we're going to tackle some Roadmunk spring cleaning. After the session, you should be a little bit more familiar with some cleanup and organization tasks that will help you keep your fields and roadmaps clear and efficient. We'll also look at how to tackle some user management, as well as implement best practices to ensure a streamlined experience for everyone using your account. One of our superstar enterprise customer success managers, Ben, so he has a wealth of knowledge and he'll be able to answer your questions in the question box. So again, come prepared, use it. And then for our presenter today, we've got Cheryl. She's one of our Roadmunk resident experts, specifically one of our onboarding education experts. She's got a lot to share with everyone, lots of tips. So definitely looking forward to that.
Super, thank you so much, Dua. And thank you very much, everybody, for joining. Definitely excited to have everybody here for our spring cleaning webinar because excitingly, spring has sprung. And so what do we all do during spring? We all do a lot of spring cleaning. So a lot of us are physically cleaning our homes and our office and getting rid of all the clutter and all the chaos and bringing out all of our nice summer stuff and making everything all all sparkly. So that's great to do at home, but it's definitely also important for you to do with your technology. So today we're definitely going to show you how you can do that with your Roadmunk account. So when we take a look at this screen, what we're looking at is something that a lot of you might look at yourself. It is a very cluttered screen with names of roadmaps that really don't make any sense, and they really don't, at first glance, they're kind of confusing, as well as here on the right-hand side, we have our fields, and we have a lot of duplicates. I can see 4 fields called status. I have no idea which one I'm supposed to use, but this is what some of us run into. And today we're going to go over how to get rid of this and how to keep it clean. So this is what we're going to do to try to reduce the chaos. And this is what you want to see. You want to see roadmaps that have nice naming conventions, all lined up alphabetically. And then we have fields that are all specific to which team they belong to and named very simply so that at first glance, we know which one we're supposed to be using. All right. So our session agenda, first, we're going to talk about how to clean it up. Okay, so we're going to talk about merging, archiving, and deleting as pertaining to fields and roadmaps. We're going to talk about user management, and then we're going to talk about how to avoid the chaos in the future. So field standardization and management, and then going over naming conventions. And lastly, we'll talk about custom template best practices. Okay, so starting out with merging, archiving, and deleting fields and roadmaps. First, we're going to talk about fields. We're going to talk about merging fields. So when you have, when you audit your fields, a lot of times you'll find that you have duplicates. So you may have duplicate 2 fields named status, and you want to get rid of one because you don't need both of them, because when you look at them, they both have the same values in it. So this is what you can use merging to get rid of those duplicates and clean up your fields. As well, we'll talk about archiving. So if you have your list of fields and you don't need all of them, you can archive the fields that you don't need. One might maybe just get it out of your view because you can restore them after you archive them. Or 2, it may be because it's no longer needed at all and you want to delete it from your file. Or sorry, delete it from your account. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you to my Roadmunk account, and I'm going to show you the merging and the archiving of fields. Okay. So if we go to my all fields screen, I can see here that I have a number of status fields, and I want to merge them together because they have a lot of the same values in them. So if I go to the status A field, it has 2 values, in progress and up next. If I go to status B, it has 4 values, including in progress and up next. So best to just merge these 2 together so that I can get rid of one that is incomplete. So we're going to go to status A, go to more actions, and then we're going to merge. Now, before you do this, you want to take a look in this area here, because you want to see, is this used in many roadmaps? And you'll be able to see that information here. You also want to see who owns this field, who are members of this field, because it's really important that you're not changing things that other people may own or that are in other roadmaps that they may affect. You can see this is used in 0 roadmaps, so it's not useful anyways. So we're going to merge it. We're going to merge field status A. We're going to pick the field we want to merge it with. So I want to choose status B. Okay, here's 2 values. Here's 4. I'm going to continue. You can see the 2 that are exact same values, which we're going to map. And then we're also going to have these 2 values that aren't going to be affected. Okay, so now when I confirm, status A was successfully merged into status B. So that means status A no longer exists and we're just left with status B. Okay, it's one way that you can merge your fields. The other way is that we have suggested merges in Roadmunk. So the system will actually read your fields and it'll suggest merges if it finds duplicates. So when you go into here, you just click on merge into. Okay, so it says that I don't have any that we can merge. So that's a good thing. Well, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to refresh it. And let's see, let's do that again. Just because I just merged one, I want to make sure that I refresh my screen. Okay, let's go into suggested merges. There we go. All right. So that refresh helped. Now the next, what it's suggesting, we have a status C and a status B, and they both have the same values. So suggesting to merge it, it looks safe to me. They look like they're exactly the same. So I'm going to map the values. And again, it tells me what values status C has, what values status B has. So it does make sense. So I'm going to confirm that merge. And now status C was merged into status B. And it's gotten rid of the one field that we don't need, gotten rid of that duplicate. So that's how you would merge your fields. Now, if you're wanting to talk about archiving, so let's go to IT state here. Now, first I'm going to go to this product owner, and I'm going to show you that area again. So this is an account field, and it's used in 71 roadmaps. So you're not going to look at something like that to archive or delete because people are obviously using this field, and that's not one that you want to touch. Okay, if I go into IT state, nobody's using this field. It's used in 0 roadmaps, so I might as well archive this because it's not being used. Okay, so I'm going to go down to more actions, and I'm going to archive it. Okay. So now that that's archived, I can go into my archived fields and I can decide, am I going to use this again? So I might need to restore it at some time, or is it one that I'm not going to use at all? Here's my IT state. If I wanted to restore it, I just hit the restore button here, or if I want to delete, I can do that. This one I don't need, so I'm going to delete it. Gives you a heads up to make sure that you're definitely sure you want to delete these fields, because once they are deleted, you can't bring them back through the system. You'd have to contact support, and if it's in error and it's connected to, say, a portfolio roadmap or something, then that's why you really have to take caution around it. That's how you would archive and delete a field. Okay. So next we're going to talk about archiving roadmaps. So why would you archive a roadmap? Well, if you're looking at your list of roadmaps, it may have ones on there that you haven't used or you're not using. The project is over, or maybe you've made a new version of it. So you want to get it out of your view. You want to archive it, okay? And if it's one that you're not going to use at all, then you can delete that roadmap once it's been archived. You do always have to do that first step of archiving before you delete it, okay? So, like I said, why delete a roadmap? It's no longer required, okay? And a roadmap can be deleted by the owner of that roadmap, or an account administrator can delete any roadmap because they have access to all roadmaps, okay? And again, just make sure that you are wanting to delete that roadmap, that it's not in use, and that it is not connected to something like a portfolio roadmap, because then, that's going to affect any roadmap and it can't be undone. So when you go to your roadmaps, so if I go to my all roadmaps, okay, here is my list of roadmaps. Now, if we focus on the LMS roadmap, I have a version 2 and my version 1 hasn't been expired. Now, I updated the name itself to indicate that it's expired. So if you want to take on that practice, if you have a roadmap that's, it's there, but it's going to be, coming expired or archived, you can change the name to indicate that. So when you do go to clean it up, you know which one is ready to be archived. So I'm going to choose this one and choose to archive it, okay? So now this is going to move it into my archived roadmaps. All right, now it's out of my view. So if I go into my archived roadmaps and go down to this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just click on that. And if I wanted to restore it, say these were just roadmaps that I want to take out of my view, but I'm going to use it again. I can archive and then restore. But if I want to delete it altogether, then I just click the delete. It's going to give you that warning again, okay? And you would delete it from your file. So there you go. That's how you would archive and delete a roadmap. Okay, now on to user management. So it's really important to once in a while go through and audit your users, because you want to make sure that everybody that's in your Roadmunk account is currently active. People may leave the company, or they may not need the same permissions. So you want to go through and just make sure it's up to date and current. So I'm going to talk about how you can audit them, how you can inactivate and even delete users from your account. And then we're going to go over our Teams feature. And as well, I'm going to talk about some reports that can help you audit your account. All right. So when I go into my Roadmunk account and I go to the account settings through my avatar on the lower left hand, go into my account settings, and this is where on the top I can find our user tab. Now this is something that account administrators can do. If you're a collaborator with edit access or a reviewer, you don't have access to the users tab. So this is something that account administrators can focus on. So here we have our active collaborators, our active reviewers, and our inactive users. So just go through, make sure that all of these are current. If you want to change your roles, you would just click on this menu and choose the different role that you would like, okay? If you want to inactivate that user, you just toggle the active button and this will inactivate the user. Okay, so you want to save the change. Okay, and deactivate. Now it brings me to my inactive users. Now, if I want to delete these users, I can do it here. So if they've, say, maybe left the company, you can delete the user and that will free up their license, and then you'll be able to reassign it to another user, okay? All right, so that's how you would kind of audit your users and their permissions. Now, I wanted to show you Teams. So Teams is a feature that we have that you can add. You can make a team of a number of users so that when you do share your roadmaps, you can share with an entire team rather than a bunch of users individually. So you can do that by adding a team. And when I say you, I'm indicating an account administrator. Account administrators are people that can add teams. So if as a team you want that to happen, you can contact that account administrator, okay? So we're going to add a team. And you give it a name. Okay, and you can give a description. And then you just start adding people within your account. So you can type their name or their email, okay? And you just build that team. And these are all the people on the Sonic team that you want to receive notification of a sharing of a roadmap when you assign it to that team, okay? So now we return to Teams, and now we can see our Sonic team here. I'm just going to show you how that works when you go into your roadmaps. So if I go into all roadmaps, I go into my Delta team roadmap. In my sharing center up on the top right, this is where I would add people to share with. I can enter a name, a team, or an email. So if I wanted to go Sonic team that has 5 members, I can add them and save. And now they'll get a notification in their email inbox that this roadmap has been shared with them. As well, when you go to your roadmap list, you can see here team roadmaps. So everybody has this team roadmap so they can see which roadmap has been shared, not with only them, but their entire team. Okay. All right. Now reports. Reports are a great way for you to help audit your account. First, we have roadmap usage reports. So it's going to give you a list of all of your roadmaps and the owners of those roadmaps when they were created and when they were edited. The next is a field usage report. So it's going to show you all of the fields that you have within Roadmunk and which ones are being used. So that's a great place to go to see. Do you have duplicates? Are there any fields that aren't being used? So you might as well just archive them and delete them if you wanted to. And then a user report. It's a report of the account users. Okay, it shows what authentication method they have for logging in, and it also shows the last login date. So it's a very good place to go to see if people are actually logging into the account and actively using it. Okay. And when we go into Roadmunk, I'll show you where you can find those reports under the account settings again. It's right here. The last tab, that's where you can find the reports. If you click on this link, it'll tell you more information in our knowledge base about how to use those reports. Okay, so now we're going to move on to field standardization and management. So this is going to help reduce the chaos in the future. So these are some best practices that you can put into place to make sure that your account stays clean and doesn't get all chaotic and messy. Okay, so account field standardization. Within Roadmunk, we have 2 different types of fields. One is an account field. An account field is accessible throughout Roadmunk. So when somebody's building a roadmap, they can access all account fields that are available. And the other is a roadmap field. A roadmap field is just individual to a roadmap that that person is working on at that time. Nobody else has access to it. So account fields, they're very important because they make up, they're very important to keep standardized because because they're available to the entire Roadmunk account, you want to make sure you know who's to use what field. So we suggest naming it by the department and then the field name. You can see here, I have my IT team and I have my product management team. My product management team uses statuses in their roadmaps, as do my IT team. They use status. My IT team, their words for status is like in development, testing, shipped. Whereas my product management team status is up next, in progress, backlog. So they're totally different fields. We want to indicate who this status field belongs to. And that's the best way that we suggest to keep them standardized, okay? Now, how to promote a field. So I mentioned we have 2 types of fields. A roadmap field is how fields start out when you first make them. And then you want to promote them to make them into an account field. So if you're making those fields, you're an account administrator, you want to make some common fields for your users, such as status owner, things like that. You want to promote it into an account field. Or if you're a collaborator, you know that this is a field that your entire team is going to want to put on their roadmaps. Perhaps you want to promote fields into an account field if that is, if it's something that your account administrators do allow you to do. Okay. So what you can do that right from Roadmunk. I'll show you how you would do that. I'm going to close this account setting. Okay. So when I go into a roadmap, and I go into the all item view, Okay, if I'm adding a field, here across the top, you can see all of these are account fields. You can tell in a few ways. One, this is a bolded icon, and two, if I click into edit, okay, it tells me right here, it's an account field and it belongs to 70 roadmaps. Okay, so to make a field, I would just add a field, and I'm going to add the roadmap. Sorry, I'm going to create a new field, and I'm just going to add a roadmap field. Okay, it could be a list, team members, numbers, etc. And then this is where you put your values. Okay, in value 2. So now we've created a roadmap field, meaning it's just accessible on this particular roadmap itself. Okay, and you can see that once it updates, this icon is grayed out, meaning it's a roadmap field. When I edit it, it shows me here, it's a roadmap field belonging only to this roadmap. Now, if I want to promote it, I go down to more actions and I promote. It's telling me that this is going to promote into an account field, which we can see here. Okay, so that's how you would change from a roadmap field to an account field. Okay, so we definitely recommend when choosing your fields and choosing what you want to choose as an account field, you do this as a collaboration with your team, because you do want to talk about this, talk about what are the important fields that you and your team want to be using in a roadmap. And this is an example of a shared document that you can create to collect that feedback from your team members, just to know exactly what are the fields that you want to create, what are the values that you want to put in those fields as they pertain to the items or tasks that you're going to be plotting on your roadmaps. Okay. All right. What are favorite fields? So when you're working on your roadmaps, you get a lot of account fields going on because all of your, everybody's working within Roadmunk and they're all different teams. You can favorite fields so that your fields that you use all the time come right to the top of the list. So that's just a good way to keep them all organized. How do you favorite fields? You can do it in a couple ways. Okay, you can rate from this screen, the all items screen. Click onto the click onto the gear. Yeah, click onto this gear and then favorite the field by clicking the star. Okay, so that's one way that you can favorite a field. Now the other way is going to your field menu. All right, and just clicking on the account fields, and then you can click the star here and that will make it a favorite field. So now you can see your favorite fields, and as well, when you do go into a roadmap and you're wanting to create a roadmap, and wanting to create a new field. Okay. Go into our all item view. And we want to create a new field. Oh, I think we just need to refresh. Sorry about that. Oh no, the reason why I can't see it there is because all of my favorite fields are actually on my roadmap. Okay, this product owner and product team, product assignment. So those are all on my roadmap. See if I can, I'll give you a good example, not a bad example. Okay, let's go. We're going to favorite these two fields. All right, so when I go back to my roadmaps, and then now I can show you how they show up at the top of the list when you're choosing your fields. All right, here we go, all items. And then when I add my fields, you can see my favorite fields are here. Okay, the rest of my account fields fall underneath. So there we go. That's how it just makes it easier for you to choose the fields that you're going to be using all the time. Okay, great. So now we're going to go into roadmap naming conventions. Okay, roadmap naming conventions, we definitely suggest because this is another way of standardizing your account and decreasing the clutter. It makes it visually easier to look at, visually easier at first glance to figure out which roadmap you need to be accessing. And we recommend that you name by the department, and then the team, and then the roadmap, a term. What is this roadmap about? What is it pertaining to? All right, and roadmap naming conventions, it'll line up nicely within your list, showing them in alphabetical order, as well as when you get to making a portfolio roadmap, it's beneficial because you'll much easier be able to locate those source roadmaps you want to roll up into a portfolio roadmap. Okay, the second type of naming convention that we recommend is naming your visualization. And the reason that you want to do that, name your views, is because your list of visualizations can get very long. And because you can be, creating different visualizations with different filters on them. Like here, you can see this is a swim lane. It's on by status, and it only has in progress because there's a filter applied. This is a swim lane, and it's all data. So easily I know which visualization I want to click on because it's named simply and appropriately. So if I go back to my account, I go to all of my roadmaps. You can see my naming conventions here. Here's my customer experience team. Okay. Here's my product management team. Here's my ops team. So they're very easily named so that I know exactly what they're about. Okay. As well as if I go into one of my roadmaps and I pull down the visualizations, it'll show me all the list of visualizations that I have created. And some of them are filtered, some of them are all data, but easily I know exactly which visualization I want to be looking at because they're all named appropriately, okay? All right, so next we're gonna talk about the custom templates. So custom template best practices. Okay, so we do have custom templates. Now, what are custom templates? They are templates that your account administrator has created that have already picked out fields, account fields for you to use. And what's the benefit of them? The benefit is because you can, then the end user can go in, they can use a template, and it is a way to quickly start on a new roadmap with the right templates. Make sure that your team and your organization are all using the same fields so that you can align on all of your projects. And as well, it's easier to roll up into a portfolio because now you know that you're starting off with your end users using the same account fields. So when you take those source roadmaps and you roll them up into into a portfolio roadmap, they're going to roll up very nice and neatly without having to merge accounts or do a bunch of manual clicking back and forth of moving values of duplicate fields. I'm going to bring you into my account. I'm going to show you the templates. So if we go into our all roadmaps, here's our templates area. Okay, so account templates is what you're going to be looking for. The Roadmunk templates, these are ones that we at Roadmunk have made for you to already use. The account templates you'd be looking for, and your account administrator would, tell you what is the name of the template you want to be using, such as this one here. Okay, if I click into it, I can see that all my account fields are already there. These are the ones that are preferred to be used by my team. Okay, so that if I use them and then my team member uses it in their roadmaps, when we go to make a portfolio roadmap together, it'll happen seamlessly and we'll have no problem doing that. Okay, so, and they may give you a template that has just the fields in it or some data as well if there's specific data they want everybody to start out with. So you just use this template. You can start off empty, so no data, or you can use a sample item. So that would make sure that all of these data items go along with the roadmap. Okay, so create. All right, the roadmap is being created. Okay, now when I open All right, so now this is my roadmap to start off with. I can start creating visualizations. Now, because the template already had visualizations that my account administrator created, they've already started it off for me. So this is another thing that account admins can do as well. Do some formatting. If you want a certain color scheme to it, maybe you want all of your roadmaps to follow the same color scheme, you can set that up as an account administrator, okay? Once you do use that template, you want to change the name, so you go to edit settings and you change the name of it to what you want it to be and save it. And now it's saved as your own, and you can change the data, add it, remove the data as you wish. Okay. Another way that you can use the template is when you're adding a new roadmap, starting a roadmap, go add roadmap, new from template, and it brings you right back to that area. All right. Now, if you are a account admin and you want to make a custom template, when you're in your roadmaps and you build a roadmap out that you want to use as a template, okay? So we can go to one of these roadmaps. Okay, so we're gonna go just take a look at the timeline. When I make a template of this roadmap, it's not only going to create a template of this visualization I'm looking at, it will also copy all of these visualizations. So I go over to the gear, and it has to be an account administrator that does this. I can duplicate as template. Okay, given a name and a description as to why this template is used, and creates. And now when I go over to my templates, I can see that that new template is there. So that's how you would create a template, and then as well how your end users would use a template. Okay. All right. Now, I think that's it for today. All talked about spring cleaning. So we've supplied you with a spring cleaning checklist that you can go through. It touches on every point that we touched on within the learning session. So you can go through these and just make sure that these are what you're doing in your account to make sure that everything is nice and clean and sparkly. All right. Thank you very much.
One of the questions was, will you be sending this out, the slide deck, as a resource? Yes, we will. So you'll get the checklist as well as all of the linked extra resources. We actually had some amazing questions come through in the question box. So I'm going to go ahead and start with those, Cheryl.
Okay.
So we have a question: what happens if you try to merge a field that is in use by a roadmap? It seems to be like more common scenario. I think we only saw field merges when the field is not in use by a roadmap.
Okay, yes, and you can definitely merge. You can definitely merge fields that are in use by roadmaps. And when you do that, you just have to make sure that the fields, you have to make sure that they're like fields and they have like values in them. Because basically, if you're merging ones that are in use already, you're combining the values of those fields. So if the owner of that field goes to use their field and they see that they have a whole bunch of other values in it, they're going to be wondering why. So it will show you the owner of the field on your account fields. Okay. So if I went into this one, you can see that I'm the owner, and it has this many roadmaps. Okay. So you might want to contact that person and say, hey, I'm just cleaning up, doing some auditing. I've got a duplicate field. Can I just combine them together? So you can definitely change them over. Like what I showed you, when you merge, you are able to pick the field, okay? And then it'll also show you the values that you're merging over. So it kind of gives you just a preview of what you're doing to make sure you're merging the appropriate fields together.
And also, just to add to that, Cheryl, if you don't mind, yeah, essentially the merged field will be deleted and replaced by like the new primary field. And so the Roadmunk system will oftentimes attempt to merge that roadmap field with an existing account level field. And so after you've actually done that merge, any items that that are in use by that previous roadmap field, it will use the map values from that new primary field, which will oftentimes be a new account level field. So it doesn't actually impact anything on the current roadmap. It will attempt to merge it with a shared account level field, and it will overwrite the name of that previous field to the name of the new primary field. Hopefully that does help.
Yeah, that definitely helps. Thanks, Ben.
All right, awesome. We have another question. When you archive a roadmap, what happens to roadmap fields that were unique to that roadmap? Are they also archived at the same time?
If you archive a roadmap, the fields are available. So it's not going to affect the field, and it's not going to archive those fields that are on that roadmap. They stay as current fields unless you were to archive the fields themselves. So it won't affect them, and it won't archive the fields.
And also to add to that, you can actually only archive an account level field. And so if you want to archive a roadmap field, you actually do need to promote it before archiving it. So for example, let's say so in this scenario, if you're archiving a roadmap that has roadmap level fields, you will notice that if you look under archive fields, it won't actually be there because the system won't allow you to archive account level fields. But if it is a roadmap level field that only exists on that roadmap, it will sit within that archived roadmap under the archived roadmap section.
All right, awesome. Another question, if you delete an archived field, I'm assuming that this also deletes the data from the archived roadmap the field was used on.
That's correct. If you do delete an archive field, it will delete the data. So that's definitely why it's very important to make sure that if that field is used on a roadmap, that that data isn't in need anymore. Because if you delete it, the data is gone as well.
Yeah,
Right.
once a roadmap has been deleted, all data that includes any attachments or views or roadmap level fields, once you've deleted, would be permanently lost. So you definitely want to be careful with the deletion of them.
All right, perfect. And then another delete question. If you delete a user, is there a record of that user in the comments on a roadmap, or do the traces of that user get removed? For example, say Jane owns a roadmap and I delete her, who then owns the roadmap? Is there a record used to refer to Jane?
If that user is deleted, then the owner of the roadmap, an account administrator, would have to assign the roadmap to a new owner. Okay, so that's one thing that an account administrator can do. They can reassign the ownership of any roadmap. So yeah, if somebody is deleted from the Roadmunk account, that is how it would happen. Now, as far as if that person was made, mentioned in any comments, what do you think, Ben?
You don't have to worry about any of the comments within item cards or feedback and ideas. Those would still persist. So
Okay.
if a user is deleted, you'll still be able to see their activity history within the items themselves. And so you can obviously go into the account settings and look at deactivated users, but as Cheryl mentioned, there's also those generating the account reports will actually give you a full list of all users that have ever been activated or deactivated from the start of your account. So that would also be a good way to get a sense of users that have been deactivated or deleted. But the system, like Cheryl mentioned, if you deactivate a user and without assigning one, the system will automatically default the owner to one of your account administrators. So that there's no worry about a roadmap going into limbo. If you deactivate a user, it'll simply be moved over to an account administrator by default, and then that account administrator can really decide on the assignment of it from there.
All right. I think the purpose of that question was that, is there a way to tell that it used to belong to Jane on the roadmap? would that show also in that user record?
I don't believe it does. No, I don't believe it does show that it did belong to Jane. Does it, Ben?
No, unfortunately, it doesn't. It does not do that.
Okay. More questions. Someone was asking how to access the teams to create a team, but I believe they found it, but maybe we should show it to everybody.
Sure. All right, so when you want to access Teams, here's your avatar on the lower left-hand side, and you go into account settings, okay, by clicking on your avatar. This is right across the top in these tabs here. It's the third tab under Teams, okay? So you would just add your team with the name and then the members within. Okay, then you go next, and then you would just add your members and it'll create the team for you. All right, there we go.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I think someone is asking about an AMA session, so Ask Me Anything session, and that's actually coming up in June. So thank you. We get to introduce it a little bit ahead of time, but we do have a planned session for just answering all the questions that you might have live. So that's coming up in June, yes. And then we have one more question. If I export a roadmap to a CSV, delete the roadmap and its fields, what happens if I re-import it later as someone has realized they didn't really mean to wipe it out or delete it? Would it add new roadmap level fields for the new thing I'm creating and add the values from the column on the CSV to that field? How would it know what field type to set up, or that's part of the import wizard?
If you do import a CSV into a new roadmap that you exported from a different roadmap, be it if it were deleted or not, that CSV will import all of the information, and those will be, if they were account fields, they will be account fields. And if there was a description in them, that description will pull over once you do import the CSV as well. So as you exported it, the way the fields and everything, the way they were, it'll import the same way into a brand new roadmap, even if the old one was deleted.
Okay, awesome. And then we have another session that, another question that just came through. I'm an account admin on a business plan, but I don't see the reports section in my account settings. Should I be able to see this?
Okay, Ben, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're unable to see that on your account as an administrator, what you'll be able to do is actually simply reach out to your account management team. So either your customer success manager or your account manager, we can simply quickly enable that on the back end. Unfortunately, it says anonymous attendee because I'd be happy to do that for you quickly. But it really is just a quick update on our end to enable that package. For you to be able to see those reports and export them.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I have another question. I don't see any roadmaps in my account.
That's a good one. So obviously, depending on your user profile, you might have a very different experience within your account. As an account administrator, you can see every roadmap that has been created. Whereas if you're, let's say, a collaborator, you can actually only see the roadmaps that you have created or that have been directly shared with you. And so there's a chance that you have logged in as a collaborator and you haven't actually created any roadmaps, or none have been shared with you. So I would encourage you to reach out to your colleagues to have them share their roadmaps and then also get started on your first one. But it certainly sounds like that would be the case.
Right, awesome. I'm an account admin and I get email notifications for comments on things I don't care about day to day. Can I turn those off for myself?
Yes, you can. So if you go into account settings, okay, here's the profile, the very first tab. Now, email notifications, these are where you would check off any email notifications that you do not wish to receive. Okay, so there's notify me about comments made on roadmaps I'm a member of. So if you click off that, then and save it, then you shouldn't be getting those email notifications in your inbox.
All right, amazing. And I think this might be our last question unless something else comes in. How do I merge more than 2 fields at a time?
Very good question. You can only merge 2 fields at a time because this was done by design to help really ensure that field merging is done in a sensible way. So it really was on purpose for us to limit that ability to just merge 2 together at once.
Okay. All right, perfect. All right, thank you everyone again for attending. And if we don't have any more sessions, get a few minutes back in your day, and thank you for joining us.